I almost don't need to say anything because this headline writes itself. Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, Visionary Realms is now backtracking and pulling the 24/7 extraction mode project because the reaction across the entirety of the internet was so negative against them for this, I would argue, borderline fraudulent misappropriation of funding to try and deliver a product that had nothing to do with the MMORPG that investors and donators gave them money to have delivered to them. So many people who bought into this project who paid $1,000 for that pre-alpha access got in only to find out, oh yeah, we're not testing the MMORPG in the rest of 2023 or early 2024, guys. We're testing this new extraction mode. So thanks for your money. Yoink! Oh, this is what happens when you hold a company's feet to the fire. If Visionary Realms was under a traditional publisher, they would have had milestones that they would have to adhere to in order to get additional funding to continue building the game. But instead, they've been stringing these copium addicts along for years and years and years using Brad McQuaid's legacy/name. Brad's vision, we're building his vision, and draining people's pockets while paying themselves to build something that has never had an actual any sort of deadlines at all. They've moved those goalposts every single year, refactoring. Oh, we got to change this. My favorite of all this is the HDPR thing where they were like, we got to move to the HDPR. We got to get that high definition rendering pipeline for Unity because it's going to help us get the best graphics for their game and make it look the best so that we can be visually appealing to the modern MMORPG audience. And then here we are in 2023, and oh, by the way, guys, sorry. Yeah, that's not gonna work. We're kind of out of money, and we can't find any artists, and we're not gonna be able to release the game at any point in the near future. So in order to get it out to you faster, we got to move to this cartoony look because that's going to help us get the game out. And then my favorite part about all of this is when they made the newsletter post about how crowdfunding has dried up and we're going to use this extraction mode to raise money. And then they immediately turned around and did a press release after that and said, oh no, actually, and this is the funniest part about this here, actually, the purpose of this extraction mode is to gather valuable data. Cha-ching. Oh, sorry guys, there's like something in my eye. To gather data for their project. Like I said, the headline writes itself here. I'm gonna go read this. I was actually in the middle of recording another video, and my brother sent this to me, and I had to abandon the other video I was making to come talk about this because this is the funniest shit ever. Pantheon will drop its 24/7 test mode and return to the full PvE MMORPG. We're making the conversion immediately, and it will be available in the coming days. Available around the clock to pledges with the pre-alpha access perk. Yeah, because everybody who pre-ordered your game is up in flames right now, ranting about how the thing they paid for isn't actually something they're able to get their hands on. You promised them pre-alpha access to a MMORPG pre-alpha, and instead they got a 24/7 extraction mode. What a bait and switch. Holy shit. Alpha pledges will be invited to play 24-hour sessions starting in December and continuing into the new year, scheduled to be announced. In addition, effective December 1st, we're lifting the verbal NDA, and all pre-alpha testers will be able to talk about the game and their experiences. The visual NDA will remain in place, which means all screenshots and videos must be approved by Visionary Realms before posting. That doesn't actually change anything. I would argue that it's a step in the right direction, but you need to drop the entirety. You just need to call this an early access title, get rid of all the NDAs, period. That would earn you some trust back because it would allow people to actually get in and start showing off what's actually there. And for some people, that's going to be enough transparency to earn them that trust. But by keeping it no visual and you're only, I could talk about anything I want. And if I don't have anything to show about the thing I'm talking, no one's going to care. They need to see. We are visual creatures. Here's a remote control for my air conditioner, right? I could tell you about the remote control. It's a white remote control with a red button, and it turns my air conditioning on and off, blah, 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 blah. But for all you know, I'm making stuff up. Plus, I'm giving you my own sort of take on this. And unless you see the remote control when I'm talking about it and it's in my hands and I can point to it and say, this is the remote control that I'm talking about, you have no frame of reference for what I'm talking about. So that makes no sense to drop one part of the NDA but not the rest, but whatever. And the fact that you have to get your videos and screenshots approved by Visionary Realms just shows that they are terrified of the buggy hot mess that they have because they don't have anything. They don't have anything after a decade plus. They don't have anything. It's so sad. We knew there would be some uneasiness when we introduced a survival extraction testing mode, but we hoped that it would be an enjoyable, replayable experience that would provide critical data for. God damn it! There's like dust in my room. Uh, um, we hope that it would provide a roleplay experience that would provide critical data for development. Hang on. And potentially some additional funding to accelerate delivery of the full MMO game. That is the real reason that this was announced, was a way for them to try to pawn off another project onto their backers, onto investors, and say, look, we've got this other little thing that we're going to be able to sell. That's going to raise money, potentially giving us more money to finish. They say to accelerate delivery. Come on. However, our hopes didn't line up with what you felt. The Pantheon community made it clear that the 24/7 Fest mode is not the reason to support us. We need to listen to that. Not just the dude, the internet roasted your company. The entire internet came out in force against 24/7 mode by Visionary Realms and said, "This is not the MMORPG that you guys have been telling people that you've been working on for all these years." My favorite was watching Carnage gently rebuke them publicly on Twitter for this and be like, I'm not happy about any of it. This is not what I signed up for. It was a very interesting Twitter post. We know there's going to be a lot of questions. So this Thursday, November 16th, we're going to be hosting another live Q&A on Pantheon's Discord to go into more detail on how we plan to use the PvE MMORPG to achieve the same goals established for the extraction mode and to answer your other questions. But the fact that they're holding it in their Discord where they can lock everything down and ban people who ask the questions that they don't want to answer just shows how terrified they are of the reaction that people are having. Because the only people who are actually actively supporting this project at this point are the copium addicts. It's the people who have spent the last 8 to 10 years building up YouTube channels around Pantheon, and it's the only thing they have that gives their channel any meaning. And so in order to avoid having wasted 8 to 10 years of their time building up these YouTube channels. I mean, when was the last time, I don't want to point any names, but there's some really big content creators who haven't made any content around this game for like 6 months. And the reason is because of this. You've literally stabbed your own supporters in the back with this extraction mode bullshit, and you got called out on it, and you deserve to get called out on it. I am so happy that this happened. We understand that for many of you, you've damaged our trust. We've damaged your trust. That's on us. For those who will give us the opportunity to rebuild that trust, we thank you. For those who are not ready to believe in us or the project again, we understand. We hope you earn back your support in the future. Too little, too late. You have spent more than a decade doing something that could have been done in 4 to 5 years and should have been done in 4 to 5 years. You continually moved goalposts. You have proved you have zero project management skills. You've proved you have zero money management skills. You have proved you have zero ability to actually develop anything. You don't have an engineering staff. You've talked about how the crowdfunding has dried up. You don't have anybody actually on it as terms of you've said it in your newsletters. You don't have an art team to build assets at a reasonable pace. You said in your most recent when you got called out, when you got caught with 24/7, Visionary Realms made this statement about how, well, we're doing 24/7 for these reasons, but it's going to help us accelerate, because if we don't accelerate, it's going to be years yet before we can release the MMORPG. So all this is them getting caught. They got caught. Whistleblowers came out. They got caught. And now they're having to backtrack like any other company that gets caught red-handed doing something that the customers rise up against. Look at the Unity rebellion that happened a few months back when they got caught. What happened? The CEO is out. The CEO of Unity is gone, and they are now having to rebuild their brand from the ground up. The people in management at Visionary Realms need to be held to the fire. So don't stop now, everybody. Now is not the time to let up. If you want Pantheon MMORPG, the MMORPG that Brad McQuaid was working on, right? This is not the team to do it. There are a handful of people on the team who are extremely passionate about the game. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. But there are absolutely people behind the scenes who are controlling the money and the direction of this company who have no desire to actually build you an MMORPG as was promised. All they want is to figure out a way to make money because they need to remain profitable and to continue to get paychecks, whether it's part-time, full-time, whatever the case might be. I have zero, nope, not for me. If they were to come out tomorrow, here's what would work for me. If they came out tomorrow and said, we're going to offer refunds to everybody who wants the refunds. We're going to open up the entirety of everything into an early access mode with no NDAs. None. No visual no NDAs at all. Early access for everyone. Have a $250 entry fee if you want, but drop it from that $750 to $1,000 bullshit. But give everybody refunds who wants them. Stop. Be transparent. Come out with all of the people who are actually getting paid by your company and what are their roles. Eliminate unnecessary roles. More importantly, I would argue everyone needs to stop. Anyone who's taking money at this point needs to stop. End of story. You need to go onto volunteer status, put that money in the bank for people who want refunds, and you need to work as volunteers for the next 3, 4, 5 years, however long it takes, to get a minimum viable product that is out there in the public that you can then look at and say, okay, guys, this is what we have as part of our early access. This is what we have. Here's the pre-orders, not pledges. Here's a release date. Here are the costs of the pre-orders, and we lock those pre-orders to that release date, which holds them to a legally binding position to deliver upon that launch date. They're never going to do it because they like that moving goalpost. They like the idea of, well, we can continually move the goalpost and continue to draw money for as long as we need to continue to make this fantasy into something. Yeah, not for me. It's also not for a lot of the content creators for around Pantheon Rise of the Fallen who have stopped creating content around this game. I think there's only maybe 2 people right now who are actively creating content around Pantheon in a positive manner. Pretty much everyone else has abandoned the project at this point. Too little too late in my eyes. Like I said, if they were to offer refunds to the people who wanted refunds, that right there would be enough to make me go, all right. I'll give you credit for that. Like, you offer refunds to the people who want refunds. That is a step towards proving you're not a bunch of scam artists who are just going to perpetually, drag people into this copium dream for the next decade ahead of us and show that you can actually put your money where your mouth is. But the reality is they don't have any money left to give people their refunds back. So it is what it is. Like I said, the headline writes itself, everybody. I didn't make it up. I literally read verbatim off of their newsletter. So for those of you out there who are Pantheon fanatics who want to try to crucify me for this, that's on you. That's the news as I'm reporting it. Until next time. Stay safe, everybody. Don't give your money unless you can afford to lose it. Don't ever pledge to a project. Only pre-order. Pre-orders are different than pledges, folks. Don't pledge to something that has a terms of service where they can take your money and deliver something completely different with an open-ended deadline that never, ever is actually going to have a publication date. Do your due diligence. Be careful out there, everybody.